Good afternoon. Today on this session of Influential People in Healthcare, sponsored by NPR, we are here at American Family Children's Hospital and have a special guest, Emma Plank, or Nushi, if I may.
Yes.
Joining us to talk about the book, Working with Children in Hospitals, a guide for the professional team. And also, she will talk briefly about her experiences in child life during the 1970s and 80s. Welcome, Mrs. Plank.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm excited to talk about my book, and I'm excited to educate the audience on what child life is, because a lot of people still aren't aware of what you say when you're a child life specialist. And I'm just excited to share about my experiences and my challenges, and just bringing in child life to the pediatric hospitals.
Well, again, thanks for joining us.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. So let's just dive right in. Where did the idea of the book come from?
Well, I wanted to create a resource for professionals in the child life field so they could look at when they are thinking, oh, what should I do in this situation? How should I prepare this child? And I also wanted a resource for medical professionals who are in the hospital and they're asking themselves, what is child life and how does this benefit me? And it's another way to educate people on how important play is and how crucial it can be to preventing a traumatic experience for a child in the hospital.
All right, so can you now tell us about the content that you chose to include in your book?
Well, the book is 9 chapters, and in the first couple chapters I decided to include information about when children enter the hospital, the interactions they may have, the empathy they're going to experience, withdrawal. The next couple chapters I explore child life techniques when preparing patients for surgery, then during surgery, and then after surgery. And I also have a section about what to do with a child if a death occurs with a child's unit or ward. And it's the last couple chapters are just a lot again about play techniques and preparation techniques that a child life specialist can use.
Interesting. Well, in 1977, your book was reprinted as a second edition that contained more information. So you had the first edition and then the second. Do you want to talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah, absolutely. In the second book, we just decided that we needed to update it a little bit because the Child Life Association had created a new association called the American Association for Child Care in Hospitals. When they had founded new ways to prepare and just to help children cope. And so I thought that was important to add in because this is a resource for those professionals. And also we thought the new book needed to include some of the new materials in children's writing and drawing that had been discovered. So in Chapter 8 of the second edition, I include some pictures and just examples of writing from the children and example pictures of drawing. And then another edition was in Chapter 9. It's titled A Child Life Education Program. Due to the changes of illness in the nation, there is no longer really a need for information about tuberculosis or poliomyelitis, or however you may say that word. And it's disappearing in our nation, so really there's no need for that information anymore. And then lastly, we just decided to include more pictures in the second edition that gave readers kind of that idea and allowed them to portray the child's feelings, how they felt, and they could relate back to what they just read.
Okay. Well, just a quick question. I thought I heard you say that the Child Life Association was in there, but that wasn't created till later, right?
Yes.
Okay. Sorry, I might have misheard you. Anyways, I think that is awesome, and I'm very curious. Actually, one more thing I wanted to point out. I was just looking at your book, actually, and I saw the appendix, and I thought it was super cool. It had a lot of great resources, like a parent's guide and different information and things you can use with your child in the hospital.
Absolutely. We worked really hard on the appendices because we wanted to make sure we included lots of real-life examples and photos so that when readers were going at the end of the book, they could see these photos and relate it back to what they had read previously. And, this picture of a child crying in a treatment room is what we talked about in Chapter 1. Or then this photo expresses how therapeutic play is beneficial, like we read in Chapter 5.
Awesome. Well, now would you mind telling me a little bit more, just in your opinion, I'm curious, why do you think that play is such an important part of a child's hospital experience?
Well, for one, I know that play is an important part of a child life experience. It's the real reason this profession has taken so long to kind of get up off the ground and why it's still going to take a very long time for it to be recognized as an actual profession. A lot of people just don't see why a paid full-time professional should get to play with kids all day, and they don't understand the benefits that come from play. They really don't understand that it's not just play, per se.
Interesting. So now, after you describe that, would you mind telling me a little bit more what you mean when you say it's more than just play?
Well, let me quote Anne Smith. She was another strong advocate of the child life profession. She once said, like a stranger in a foreign land who suddenly hears his own language, the child reaches out to play as an assurance of friendliness in a bewildering situation. The hospital is that bewildering situation, and reaching out to find the assurance is play. Because when they play, it all comes naturally. They don't think about it; it just happens. So, that's why I find Anne Smith very influential, because she helped recognize the importance of group play for children in hospitals. And children, another thing I want to point out is children are most vulnerable when they're in the hospital, and having that normalization of play helps them cope so much better. It can even help with physical rehabilitation, and I just think that the more people who know about the benefits of play, the better it will become.
Interesting. So do you have any specific examples that you could talk about? I think
we did a special event here tonight at American Family called Caleb's Pitch. It is where UW athletes from UW-Madison College, which is very much connected with UW Hospital, the athletes come, they sit in canopies that have tons of tarp behind them, and children just get to sit there, and with medical utensils they may be familiar with in the hospital, they get to syringe paint them. So there's paint going everywhere, there are people laughing, all the kids are having a ton of fun because they're getting to shoot paint at these athletes' faces, and they think it's the best thing in the entire world.
So it's a very socializing activity.
Absolutely. It, again, promotes what Anne Smith said about group play.
All right, thank you for the explanation. So when I was looking over my notes for this interview, I saw that the early 1970s were exciting times for you. You were a delegate to the White House Conference on Children. You were an active participant in the Convention of the Effects of Hospitalization on Children, which was sponsored by the Extension Division of San Francisco Psychoanalytic Society.
That's a mouthful.
It is. And you were also awarded the gold medal from the Montessori Continental. And your book, of course, Working with Children in Hospital, was now translated into German, Spanish, French, and Japanese, which is an awesome accomplishment, and to get more of a national recognition.
That's what I wanted all along. So.
And also, you managed to retire this year. I wanted to offer congratulations on that and just ask you how it's been.
I mean, I have been just as busy after retirement as I was before retirement, so not much has changed. I achieved the rank of Professor of Child Life Development at Case Western Reserve University, and that was quite an honor, of course.
Well, very well deserved.
Thank you.
You were also able to see the creation of the Child Life Council in 1982. That must be a great feeling, since you have worked so hard to develop and implement these types of programs into hospitals.
That was spectacular to see. I really enjoyed that.
And then, on another note, I would like to offer a condolence of your husband passing away.
Thank you.
I know he passed away in the late, or 1983. And then just talk about your move to Vienna following his death and why you did move to Vienna.
Well, after Richard's death, I did move back to Vienna, and that was mostly just to be closer to our family and to our friends who we had been with for the majority of our relationship. And while I was back in Vienna, I had the privilege of being consulted by German pediatricians about the child life programs I'd implemented while I was in America, so that was really nice. And I also got the opportunity to work with a group of Vietnamese students to promote Montessori methods, which goes back to my roots where I'm originally gaining child life from.
Awesome. So you were able to do some consulting work.
Absolutely.
In your retirement.
Absolutely. It was great.
Well, that sounds like quite the opportunities, and thank you so much for being here with us today and sharing your story.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. I cannot wait to come back.
All right.